Hey everyone, welcome back to the How to Podcast series. We're going to have a real safe space today. Really, really safe. And this is a podcast episode you're not going to hear anywhere else. I was going to tell you because my guest co-host today, you have to meet this person. I just have to tell you that because we chatted in a pre-chat a little while ago, and I have like a page full of notes from this person. She's amazing, and I'm so excited to have her on the podcast. Cheyenne's with us. Cheyenne, welcome to the How to Podcast series. Guest co-host. Ta-da!
David,
Hi.
that was so sweet. Thank
Come
you.
on.
Oh,
You're a
I'm so
great
happy to
person.
be here. Thank you. I loved our conversation. Like I told you, I could not wait to get my day started and get everything set up in my little home studio that I just love being in. I have my comfy pants on. I have my comfy shirt on. I lit up all my favorite incense to be with you.
Come on.
I got my mason jar full of unpoisoned water.
Come on. It's like
I'm just happy to be here.
the best of everything all in one day. And you're here. That even makes it better. So there you go. I'm happy to have you here. Yeah, there's so much to talk about, and I can't wait to do this. First of all, let's tell everybody where you are in this great big world. I love doing that, so everybody knows that off the bat.
Yes, I am located in Wichita, Kansas. I am a transplant here. I like to say that. I am not native to the land, but I have enjoyed my several years being here, getting to know the culture and the lay and just, checking everything out. So I'm located there. I have a home studio that I was lucky to move into about over a year ago. So this is considered like my little cave of treasures, like Ariel on The Little Mermaid.
Ooh.
Yeah, I've set up a physical safe space for myself for all the things that motivate me, inspire me, and that I love. And then I also have dogs that will lay right behind me as my sweet little protectors. So you probably will see them walk behind the camera. It's a pit bull named Jax Nicholson Moore. And then I have a beagle named Calypso Atlantis Moore.
Of course. That's just obvious.
Those are normal dog names. Yes.
Super obvious. Very, very obvious. So common.
Yeah.
I love it. We have a mutual love of beagles. I had a chocolate beagle when my children were young. Jessie was her name. Named after Jessie from Toy Story.
Even better.
Right?
So great.
Such a gorgeous dog. Loving. Don't ever try to take the food away from her. Oh my gosh.
My dog's the same.
No.
But chocolate beagles are so beautiful because they really are so rare. You need a tricolor beagle and a lemon beagle, and that doesn't always mean that you're going to get a chocolate beagle. And I know that because we bred beagles on our farm when we were younger, and we did tricolors for the longest time and then went into lemons. And, one of our tricolor daddies got in with one of our lemon mamas, and we got like 3 chocolates in 1 litter. It was the first time I'd ever seen a chocolate beagle in my life. And I'm like, I didn't get to keep it, right? Because we sold it off to somebody, but they're exquisite and they're rare. So I love that you're like, oh, I had a chocolate one. I'm like, you had a very special one. You had the golden ticket and the Willy Wonka candy bar is what you had as a dog.
There you go. And she was such a sweetheart. Sadly, we lost her. We now have a Beagle Jack Russell combo. How's that?
Adorable. And very hyper.
Hyper and distracted but beautiful. Smart.
I want to say opinionated.
Opinionated, yes.
Yeah, dogs have a very sarcastic language that they speak, and those two breeds together, I get opinionated and sarcastic. I
think my dog, his name is Burton. I think Burton could be a great podcaster.
Yes.
That's what I'm thinking. Very opinionated, yes. So, I love it. Okay, so we talked so much. I have a whole page of stuff to talk about with you. And the one thing that I really kind of hone in on was battling our inner critic was one of the things we talked about a lot.
Yeah.
Okay, so I kind of want to go there first because I'm working with a couple people right now who have reached out for help, and that's one of the things they're struggling with the most is they seem to be fighting themselves. And so one of the things I said to them, because both of them are parents, I said, if somebody was talking to your children the way you're talking to yourself, what would you do as a mom if you found out that your son or daughter was being put up against the wall at school and they were saying the same things that you say to yourself, they were saying to your kids, what would you do as a mom? And they were like, oh, no, I would be there. I would like end that right away. And then I said to them, well, so why would you do that to yourself? And the look on their face was like, you're making me think and I don't like it. Yeah, right? Yeah. So talk about inner critic, talk about all of that. And because I know we wrestle, a lot of us, I wrestle with it. Talk about that for yourself and kind of some of the things that we kind of talked about. Bring it back for us so we can share it with the people listening. Come on.
Yeah, I'm like, what way am I going to take this? So many ways I could take it. Because yes, the inner critic happens in anything that you're going to create, anything that you're going to see in your head and you want to bring it out into reality. It takes, a lot of energy to do. It takes a lot of courage. And you kind of got to be brave in such a judgmental world, right? You have such an innocence and creativity. And there's a protection and a guard to it. And, oh, this is my baby. I want to put it out in the world. I want to share it to people. That's my passion. But I don't want to be judged. I don't want people to think I'm weird. I don't want to lose people, depending on the content that you're going to do. And to talk about the inner critic on like a brighter side, because I've just recently thought about this. If you have an inner critic that's like almost demonic at times, trying to get you to stop doing it, the counter of that is that your idea is probably really powerful and palpable in the world, right? And even though the inner critic is you, it's all the things that you're initially scared of, you could think of it as like a lack of love in some other aspect of your life, some insecurity that has manifested into this voice in your head to tell you, who do you think you are for doing this project? No one's going to like it, especially in the social media world with the likes and the follows being the instant validation for, oh, yes, I'm a good creator. And oh, no, I'm not a good creator. Those are all false. They're all fear-based. The acronym of fear is false evidence appearing real. I met that from a pagan lord in Florida named Alexian. I like to plug that guy really quick.
You got to do that again. Do it again. Do the acronym
false evidence appearing real is what fear stands for. And again, it's going to show you how powerful you are because you're creating that fear in yourself. And these are, again, all things that I have to introspect on myself because I do the same thing. I go crazy when I see somebody twerking getting 5 million likes. Do you know how much money you contributed to making that person think that that content is really like good and appropriate and going to advance the consciousness of humanity? Now, keep in mind, I understand not a lot of people like that's not one of the things on their Post-it on their laptop. They're like, what am I here to do? How am I supposed to inspire people? What's my message? Like I said before we got started, I know there are people that have looked at podcasting through just a business purpose of monetizing to help a business that they already have. And then there's a pool of creators that they're like, I have something to say and I can finally be a part of the industry without having this middleman come in and delegate, oh, that's good. This is how people want to hear stuff. The way that you present it, people won't digest it properly. And you could say the same for the inner critic in your head. The inner critic in your head is the middleman between your authentic self and you putting that authentic self out there in the world, like the pressing publish. You know, if you're like in a little video game and you got your backpack full of like scrolls and information and you're like running and running and running and you see the light at the end of the tunnel, which is the publish button. And then you have this like, you know, kind of like badass Matrix version of you, like all dressed in black, like stopping before the publish. And it's like, stop, wait, I'm here to protect you. They will not like you. They will think you're weird for what you say. You will not be accepted. You're not going to be as great as you want to be. Stop right here. And it's almost like it's a piece of your ego that thinks it's protecting you, but it's actually not. So to not separate and demonize the inner critic, because I think the inner critic is also a part of our shadow side, unloved parts of ourselves that we've condemned and society has condemned. It's a lot of subconscious programming. So really, the bigger your inner critic is in your head, I think the more inner work and self-love you actually need to do on your inner world to be brave enough to show that to people. Authenticity is like the highest level of energy that's the most attractive. I know everybody loves talking about love, and they would be correct. Love is a huge power source behind it. But you can still love and be inauthentic. It's just probably conditional love based on unmet desires and a whole list of things that aren't authentic. But when you're authentic, you're radiating at a higher frequency that nothing can match you and nothing can touch you. So really, if like we went even into a vibrational talk of how you view yourself and what you 100 wholeheartedly believe you want to put out into the world, it disintegrates. It comes up to you and it's like, hey, don't publish that. And you're like, listen, bro, I need you to take a back seat because I'm going to go do this. You know, like it for me, like in my personal journey, I have been on an extensive research of self-love practices and applying them into my life because I have a high output of creativity in a multitude of ways. It's not just my podcast. It's writing poetry, it's publishing books, it's creating shirts like this or tie-dye or bleach dyes or any way that I can get the energy out of my body, I'm doing. But anything that I have ever created, ever written down, or ever wanted to publish on a streaming platform, right before I publish, that inner critic always tries to come in and be like, is it done yet? Should you edit it a little more? Oh, what are people going to think? That's a little racy. You know, that's a little dark, you know. Ultimately, at the end of the day, we're all vessels for a higher source of energy that we're all trying to figure out.
I'm curious from your perspective as a podcaster, is there stuff that you hear in podcasting circles that you're just like, I don't buy that. I don't understand that. I don't agree with that. For me as a podcaster, that maybe some things that seem to be popular, they're said from stages at conferences or heard on a podcast, and you're like, I have a problem with that. It doesn't work for me in my show, for me personally. Anything stand out at all?
Yeah, so I have to audit any of the podcasting gurus that I, you know, kind of want to idolize and look at and go, oh, if I follow their cake recipe, like that's my way to success. I think that just puts you in that weird trap again, where you're only making trending content. You're not listening to what you should be doing. There are people on, air quotes, the top who aren't necessarily sending the elevator back down. They're just kind of pretending that they are by giving you this narrative of how they made it. So I have invested in my own equipment with my hard-earned money as a one-income family household and a creator that like slings her art almost out of the back of a van at a dead concert. Like that's what I want you to picture me. Like, hey man, you want some tie-dye? I need a new cord. So like I don't have like a huge freaking budget and a manager and a production company and all of these quote unquote connections for me to go and plug any of my resources through. So me knowing that I'm grassroots and I have limited budget to be able to produce the type of content that I'm trying to keep up with, as far as AI and switching your captions every other week so you can look like you're a part of the Joe Rogan network, right? That is a falsity that I learned early on to not discourage myself from doing it. And it was a really big battle for me because I was like, I really want to watch these guys because I feel like I could learn something from their success. I'm perturbed by the ego mindset that they have, that this is the only way you're going to be successful. Well, success for that guy may not be success for what you want. That guy wants to be a multimillionaire where his manager is actually putting him on all of these shows. And he has PR. He has like a glam squad behind him, right? And he's sitting here and he's selling you a story that he was a grassroots and he gets it and blah, 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 blah. I'm like, no, bro, you were making $500K a year and decided to start a podcast to monetize your already successful business.
Right.
So your advice isn't really going to work for me. It's actually going to discourage me, make me feel like I'm not smart enough, make me feel like I'm at a disadvantage. And it's going to like it's going to make me feel like I'm delusional for wanting to produce content and put it out in the world freely like everybody else. So I don't like when people do that. But again, it doesn't work for me. So I'm not going to go to everybody else and be like, unfollow all of the top 1% of podcasters because they're all douchebags. Because that's not the case. But I'm sure a high percentage of them have a lot of inner work to do. So to keep it nice, right? To keep it nice, because I don't want to judge anybody. Yeah. I have friends that I have met through either being on their show or interviewing or just meeting in podcast groups because we're alike. We are normal human beings working our normal kind of average lives in a sense that we feel called to a greater purpose that we want to talk about. But we want to balance. You know, I'm not saying that I would turn down a press tour, but I don't see myself like going and living in Beverly Hills if, you know, I went #1 on Spotify podcast and got a bunch of money.
Yeah, because some of the things that I hear too in podcasting is just, I don't know. There seems to be like levels or
it's
hierarchy.
Gatekeeping.
Yeah,
yes,
we talked
it's
about
gatekeeping.
That, right?
That's all it is.
And it keeps people out. It frustrates people. I talk to people all the time. They just don't feel like they fit. They can't find, like, they know who they want to talk to. They know their why. They know their content. They know their audience that they want to reach. But they feel like, and I gave you the example of that friend that was made fun of by not doing his podcast correctly. And the gatekeeper saying, if you don't fit this mold, you shouldn't be podcasting. And that just hurts when you have a message for the world, when you want to create a safe place for people, right? To have somebody tell you that because you don't hit this list of criteria, you're not welcome to the party. I have a problem with that. I
100% do. I am on your side completely about that. I recognize the gatekeeping. I have been turned down by people that when I looked at their content, I thought that they understood that getting their message out was more important than, okay, yeah, I can get my message out to, like a group of 10 people. And then one day it could be 10,000. One day it could be 1 million. But I've seen in the circuit of people, if they go on higher podcasts, well, yeah, your audience just really isn't big enough for me, which I think is supremely egotistical. I think you're out of touch and you've lost maybe why you began or what I thought your intention was of spreading the awareness of your knowledge has been corrupted in some way because, again, you're a part of an industry. You have someone telling you your numbers need to be this, your numbers need to be this. So there's a lot of like back pressure that I would say. So again, recognizing the gatekeeping, I've been turned down and I think of it as divine intervention because I know what my true intention for bringing you on my show was. I know how long my content will be here. I know my content is literally listed in a trust. My company is listed in a trust for my daughter and grandkids and on and on. And they get to do whatever they want with everything that I'm working on. This isn't a project for a get rich quick scheme like I've seen so many people trying to sell. If you monetize this way, if you do this, I would love to do all those. It doesn't feel authentic in my body. I actually would have to hire somebody to do that work for me because it steals the authenticity from me to think that I have to be so fake to succeed. I've already succeeded as a false person, and I burned that life down in 2019 and was happy to walk away from it. I will not do that again. As far as me and my vulnerability, I always feel like I'm behind on content creation. My folders are filled up. My Canva has hundreds and hundreds of pages of templates and posts. I have video that I could lock myself in a room for a year and edit and do TikToks on, and audiograms and la 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 la. No matter how much I put out there, no matter how much of anybody else's work I put out there, I feel behind because I don't have a glam squad behind me.
Right.
And I realized that's not a bad thing. Actually, I think I'm pretty freaking powerful that I make all my own content. I schedule all of my own guests. I host my own show. I find all of my music. I have to reach out to the musicians to get permission for their music. You know, like all of the time-consuming little things that people are actually thinking hold them back. You have to ask yourself, are these people that are sitting in front of these $1 million microphones with these $1 million deals with millions of followers, do they actually know how to do any of this?
Yeah.
Probably not. Probably not. They're a hired talking head that have infiltrated the system. That's what you should think about it. And you should, again, bring your authenticity out into the world, because the brighter you shine, the more it's going to go. But as I remind myself every day, it's going to take me a little bit longer because I'm not selling my soul.
I love it. I love it. I love it. This is great. This is exactly what I was hoping we were going to do today, because
I didn't plan on anything else but telling you my truth.
And I noticed that you're very reserved. You don't let everything out. No, I'm joking. You're like, this is it. This is me, and this is what you're going to get, right? And I love that. And that's what the joy of podcasting is. You and I don't have some producer tapping us on the shoulder like, hey, Cheyenne, tone it down a little. You're like, no, this is my show. It's my show.
I will say, yes, this is my show. And when I started my show, my friend is a operations manager at a local radio station, and he has his own network. It's called Hoosier Media Network. So he hosts podcasts under it. And when I came into his office one day at work, and I was like, I'm going to start a podcast. And he's like, yeah, you are. And I was like, how do I start a podcast? I don't know what to do. I've been out of media for so long. Like, dude, I'm so like, I just, I had notebooks written down of things. I was like, I want to talk about this. I want to explore this. I want to interview this. This one I didn't. I'm so terrified, Andy. And he's like, dude, I got you. He's like, I literally have my own network. I'll produce it for you. He's like, I know what you want to do. I see your vision, and it works, and it's needed. He goes, and him being in media so long, he's like, I've interviewed so many people are bland. They're just going on for all the wrong reasons, all the things. So I have an amazing producer that I send all of my content to, and he makes sure that it's mixed properly. He'll put my intro in for me, and he'll do any other things. When I decide to put sponsors in, he'll be happy to trickle that in for me. He does that part for me, which saves me so much time and so much anguish. So no, I don't have a producer behind me going, you can't say that. I have a producer going behind me going, that's badass, do that. You let them know, like, the growth is what you're looking for. Like, you deciding, hey, I want to do this, and I know I'm not an expert. I know I don't have I don't have a broadcasting degree. I don't have an audio engineering degree. I am the example that you can do it. So I'm going to have to fail. I'm going to have to be okay with failing. And I just have to keep going. And I have to tell that inner critic to get out of my head so I can actually like do the things that I want to do.
Can we have another conversation in the future? Is that possible?
Anytime you want to talk, I would love to talk with you. Okay. I know there's so many more things we can get into.
You have a lot to give. So yeah, we definitely have to do this again. When we both have we have a mutual love of beagles. So come on.
I know you really got to come on my show then. I'm all about reciprocity and all of that. So if I'm going to come on your show, you have to come on my show.
100%.
Yes.
100%.
Yeah, yes. And I'll let you talk most of the time on my show.
It's not about letting on this show. We're co-hosts. I love the journey. I love listening and partaking in this. And again, thank you for being vulnerable with us, and thank you for sharing your story. And
thank you for having me.
Yeah. If you're thinking about starting a podcast and you have questions, and you're connecting with Cheyenne, I know Cheyenne would definitely answer emails. Contact her, let her know. She's got some great feedback for you, and she's a great support as well. So
we'll kick that inner critic, back to its own safe space.
There you go.
Yes.
Check out the podcast. Links in the show notes. Go check out Cheyenne and support her. Like, follow, share, do all the things. You know what to do. Cheyenne, thank you so much for being part of the podcast.
Thank you.
Hey, it's Dave jumping on here at the end. I hope you're doing well. Thank you for listening to the How to Podcast series. Putting this out there for you. You're starting a podcast and you're like, Dave, the technology is giving me a headache. This editing thing is, I don't know. It's banana pants. I can't figure it all out. And you're thinking, if there was somebody who could help me with my podcast, I would pay them to do the editing for me. Guess what? I'm actually doing that. I have clients now, past guests who've been on the show on one of my other podcasts, on this podcast. I'm doing some podcast consulting. I'm doing podcast editing. I'm helping with people launching their podcast, getting it, all the technology stuff, getting your podcast in all the players, helping you with your YouTube channel, your website. Oh, it just goes on and on. It goes on and on. And I would love to help you. So instead of going to Fiverr or Upwork, I've been on there. I keep trying to get on for jobs and nobody's paying attention to me. And I need attention. I would rather work with you as a listener of the show. So here's what I'm saying. Go to howtopodcast.ca, leave me a voice message, tell me what you need, and let's work out something that works for you and your budget. And if you need full service or you just need something quick like a drive-through type service, I'm there for you. I got you. And if you like what you hear on any of my 7 podcasts, I can do that for you. I can. And I'd love to work with you because you are amazing. And I'm there to help you, whatever you need. howtopodcast.ca. Reach out, let me know what I can do to help you with your podcast. Thank you for listening. Catch you on the next episode. Take care.